A Rock County home is a total loss this morning as firefighters continue to investigate a cause.
And just in this morning, Chinese officials say they will suspend tariffs on U.S. cars and auto parts. We will tell you what the latest development in the president's trade war means for you.
This is News 3 This Morning.
And welcome to News 3 This Morning. It is Friday, December 14th. We are looking forward to a really nice stretch of weather, especially considering kind of the blah we've been in over the past couple weeks.
Yeah, things are looking up for the weekend. We do have a little bit of fog, though, to talk about this morning. Over the last 30 minutes, the fog is really starting to develop here across southern Wisconsin. This is our Edgewater Skycam shot of the Capitol. Not really able to see any of the Capitol right now. Visibility is about 1.5 miles here in Madison. It's down to 0, though, in Juneau. Quarter-mile visibility in Mineral Point and Platteville. That area dealt with some fog yesterday at this time as well. So be careful. Temperatures are just below the freezing point this morning. No precipitation to talk about, though. All that rain has shifted off to the east. Our temperatures are actually going to be quite mild today. We're looking at highs in the upper 30s later on this afternoon with some sunshine as well. Your First Alert traffic update this morning will show you that things are pretty quiet on the roadways here in the area. I looked around the region, no accidents, so it looks like you're still going at posted speeds. Keep in mind, though, be careful for that fog.
Yeah, most definitely. We kind of see it shifting around. It's just one of those mornings that you kind of keep an eye out.
A little extra time.
Yep. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
New this morning, 2 men are in the hospital with stab wounds, and a third is facing charges after a fight downtown last night. It happened just before 10 along North Hancock Street, a couple of blocks off the Capitol Square. Police say a 39-year-old man and a 32-year-old man got into a fight there that ended in a stabbing that sent both of them to the hospital. The 39-year-old had more serious injuries to his face and to his stomach. He is doing okay this morning. Both are facing felony charges of recklessly endangering safety, while a third person, a 23-year-old, is facing a charge for assisting in that fight.
A Rock County family is out of their home after a fire burnt right through their roof last night. 13 different fire departments responded to that fire on West Front Street in Orfordville, close to the Supper Club there. It took all of those crews about 1 hour and 45 minutes to put this fire out, and while the cause is still unclear this morning, an Orfordville fire captain says these situations become more and more common in the winter months.
These fires aren't rare to us out here at all, especially this time of the year. We don't know if it was chimney related or anything like that with the cold weather.
One person was taken to the hospital out of precaution due to some pre-existing conditions. The house is not a total loss, but it is not structurally sound enough for anyone to live there right now. Madison police have arrested a second man they believe is connected to a shooting at Visions nightclub over the weekend. 29-year-old Spencer Jackson IV is right now in the Dane County Jail, accused of having a gun out during that fight that happened ahead of the shooting Sunday morning. Detectives don't believe he fired that gun, however. 4 people did suffer gunshot wounds as a result of that incident.
Police have a reminder for parents this morning to talk to your kids about making sure they make it home safely after school. This is after an incident on the west side where an 11-year-old boy was walking home from school near Seago Road. He told officers a man driving by rolled down his window and asked where he lived. Police are still investigating that incident.
Developing this morning, China is announcing a 90-day suspension of tariff hikes on $126 billion worth of American-made cars, trucks, and auto parts. That suspension will take effect on January 1st. American cars exported to China were being taxed a 25% penalty tariff, and auto parts were subject to a 5% tax. Now, this is all a result of a ceasefire between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The president agreed to suspend U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods while the two countries negotiate. Those Chinese tariffs and the U.S. ones at that have been hitting our farmers pretty hard as well. 6:04 right now, ahead of the big division matchup between the Bears and the Packers Sunday down at Soldier Field. We want to remind all of you Packers fans out there that there is still a chance, a small chance, but a chance for a postseason.
If the season were to end right now, the Seattle Seahawks and Minnesota Vikings would take the 2 wildcard spots up for grabs, but things could still change. First, remaining games against the Bears, the Jets, and the Lions. Then the Panthers, Eagles, and Redskins each have to lose 1 game. And on top of that, the Vikings have to lose 2 games, or the Seahawks have to lose all 3. Okay, so we know this is a little hard to follow. We have it all laid out in detail on channel3000.com.
Again, Green Bay does head down to Chi-Town this weekend for the first step in all of this, taking on the Bears. Chicago is first in the NFC North with a 9-4 record. It will be the first away game and the first division matchup for interim head coach Joe Philbin. The Packers are coming off a win against the Falcons at home, where Aaron Rodgers was able to set a record for the number of consecutive passes he threw without an interception. And they beat the Bears by 1 at Lambeau back in September. So there's a chance here. Crossing our fingers. Kickoff is scheduled for noon down at Soldier Field.
6:05 your time now. We have all seen those videos of kiddos getting their dream Christmas present, that puppy under the tree. But what we don't see is what often happens afterward when the responsibility proves to be too much.
Yeah, and for some of that, Christina Laurie is out by the Christmas trees on the patio this morning, searching for one of those puppies, but also warning us what can come with it. Hi, Christina.
Good morning, Danica and Leah. Unlike Legos, video games, or a new box of clothes, pets are presents that kids can't outgrow this holiday season. That's why pet store owners are stressing you make adoption a family decision. Now, they say even if Santa foots the bill for buying your pet, raising an animal isn't free or even close to it. They'll need food, trips to the vet, medicine when sick, training, and of course toys. While cats may cost a little less than dogs, either can run you anywhere from a couple $100 to several $1,000s every year. With all that in mind, pet store owners suggest you plan a budget that includes pet costs to see if your family can afford it. Pets also demand your time. They like when their owners are around. So if you're rarely home or busy shuttling your kids around to a long list of after-school activities, now may not be the right time to adopt.
So it's really important to think about what that looks like at the beginning, and then once they become an adult, what is the work-life balance there with taking care of that pet, and who's going to take care of that pet. There's definitely also things that you have to consider. What do you have to have prior to the pet coming home? You know, in terms of food and cages and treats.
Pet store owners say you should also factor in training when adopting a young pet in particular. Stores like PetSmart, as well as the Dane County Humane Society, offer training programs, but again, those demand your time and they are not free, but they are great in adjusting your family to life with a pet. I don't mean to be a total Grinch this holiday season, Danica and Leah. I'll send it back to you.
All right. Thank you, Christina. He is 88 years old and still doing it. The it Clint Eastwood really knows really well is intense plot lines with some emotion woven in, and it looks like his latest movie checks those boxes. This time, he's a cocaine peddling family man.
Before we hear from Will on that, though, Hattie's looking ahead to a really nice weekend, at least by winter standards. She's going to let us know about the next chance for flurries when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. It's actually pretty mild outside this morning. Temperatures are still in the 30s in many spots. Speaking of 30s, we were in the upper 30s yesterday, even some in the 40s. Here's a look at high temperatures yesterday across the region. 39 in Madison, but 43 in Janesville, 42 in Platteville, and 41 in Mineral Point. Now, those numbers are not good for the snowpack here across the Badger State. We don't have any snow on the ground here in southern Wisconsin, but there is a little snow still left on the ground for the northern half of the state. But with mild temperatures in the forecast, it's not looking good as we head towards Christmas. Take a look at your high temperature trend. It's above normal starting today all the way through next week into next Sunday, and that takes us to just a couple of days before Christmas morning. Now, there is a chance, I'm saying there's a small chance, but there is a small chance that we may see some snow. The day to watch would be December 23rd. Forecast model, the GFS, is trying to bring some snow into the area, and with colder temperatures forecast heading into Christmas, we may just see some of that snow stick to the ground. No snow showing up on the radar map this morning. Excuse me, there is some rain, though, to the south and east. It's already moving through Chicago. It has exited Wisconsin. We have a dry forecast coming up today. Clouds, though, linger behind that rain quite a bit. The cloud deck extends all the way back into southeastern Minnesota this morning. So our temperatures are starting right around 30 degrees here in Madison, mid-20s, though, to the north and west. We have temperatures that will climb quite a bit today. There is some fog to tell you about this morning. Visibility is down to 1/4 mile in Mineral Point, right around 0 in Juneau. Your future track forecast model has clearing taking place through the day today with temperatures climbing to highs right around 40 degrees. We'll stay pretty quiet overnight tonight and drop back into the 20s. Now, there is a little bit of patchy fog possible. Your extended forecast, though, beautiful conditions as we head into the upcoming weekend. We're looking at temperatures right around 42 for a high on Saturday and Sunday. We'll cool it down into next week. However, the forecast stays very quiet right through the week. Let's get a look at traffic now with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, once again, there's some fog hanging around here in the Madison and surrounding areas. Just make sure you give yourself a few minutes extra when you head out the door. So far, though, no delays showing up on the Beltline yet in either direction. Other roads here in Dane County aren't looking too bad. There are a few slowdowns beginning to show up on northbound Verona Road near the Beltline. No problems at all yet. Downtown volume won't be an issue, at least for another hour or so. And other routes heading into the city, they're moving along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Hattie. 6:13 now. He is known for playing Cowboys, Dirty Harry, and a grump.
One more time.
Let's try this again. He is known for playing Cowboys, Dirty Harry, and a grumpy old man. And this weekend, he's starring in a new film as a drug smuggler.
The movie is The Mule, and the film critic right here is Will Loper. Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, at 150 years young.
Well, we looked up his age, so
yeah,
that's about right. That's about right.
Looking at him, but hey, he is clearly still a spry young chicken. He's directing this weekend's movie as well as coming out of his acting retirement to play a family man who's just a little too good at driving for the cartel. Take a look.
Holy. Need help, sir? Oh, officer, hi.
You need help?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
What do you got there?
Pecans. I'm delivering pecans to my niece.
Pecans?
Yeah, pecans.
Earl Stone just wants to provide for his family as both the cartel and the Drug Enforcement Agency close in on him.
Family's the most important thing. Don't do what I did. I put work in front of family. I thought it was more important to be somebody out there than the damn failure I was in my own home.
The Mule is rated R.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry for everything.
Dramatic.
Yeah. Oh, I was reading reviews, but a lot of them are saying it's sort of a dramatic comedy. There's comedic elements.
Really?
The trailer doesn't make it look like it at all. So I'm curious where the comedy comes in.
I was saying I just hate it when you're too good at driving for the cartel.
I know.
It's just a thing.
It's just not a good look. And how long has it been, Will? Do you know how long it's been since He's been back in the movie scene,
What's
like
it going,
acting-wise.
Acting-wise, it's 2012.
2012.
Yeah, Trouble with the Curve.
Oh,
he
sure.
was in Gran Torino in 2008
Yep.
and said, I'm done with acting, but then Trouble with the Curve, he acted again, and then it seemed like he was done, and here he is again. I guess
Can't give it up.
Role spoke to him.
He's not 150, by the way. He's
No.
88. We did look it up, but
Close.
still rocking and rolling for that
Yeah.
age. My goodness.
Yes, absolutely.
You gonna see it and have a review Monday?
Sure will. I'll be here.
Cool. Glad to have you, Will.
Glad
Have a
to
good
be here.
weekend.
Yeah, good to
You
see
guys
you.
too.
All right, so a Brewers legend will be on the UW campus this weekend to bid farewell to some of the students. But let's be honest, the guy's no stranger to the university. We are looking ahead to the winter commencement after the break.
We are keeping an eye on the possibility for some fog this morning. You're seeing that is exactly what we're looking at this morning. Before we see a nice warm up for the rest of the weekend, Hattie has your first alert forecast coming up in just a minute.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. We have visibility that's less than a mile in some spots this morning. Same spots that had dealt with fog yesterday, the Dells and Mineral Point and Platteville. Juneau is at zero visibility as well, so keep that in mind. Temperatures are a little bit warmer than they were yesterday, but still at or below freezing this morning. Many spots are right around 30 degrees, so there may be some slippery spots on the roads. Other than the fog, clouds will gradually give way to some sunshine this morning or the afternoon. High temperatures will climb into the upper 30s, close to 40 degrees by the time you head home from school. Have a wonderful Friday.
Thank you so much, Hattie. With those temperatures, we will So law enforcement across the state wants to make sure we're all getting home safely over the holidays. Another Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign kicks off today. That means extra patrols out for longer hours looking for drunk drivers. Last year, Wisconsin saw more than 169 deaths and more than 3,000 injuries as a result of alcohol-related crashes. If you see a driver you believe is intoxicated, you're asked to give 911 a call and give as much detail about the car and the location as you can. The campaign for the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over will run through New Year's Day.
More than 3,000 UW students are celebrating the end of exams, lectures, and papers this weekend as they earn their degree from UW-Madison. More than 1,000 of them will be at the Kohl Center on Sunday for the winter commencement ceremony. Former MLB Commissioner Bud Selig is going to deliver the keynote address. He's a Badger alumnus who founded the Milwaukee Brewers. He now teaches an advanced level history seminar at UW called Baseball and Society since World War II. So just so you know, if you're near the UW campus on Sunday morning, going to be a little hectic traffic-wise.
All right, we know it is not easy to stand up to a bully, whether it's in person or online, which is why we wanted to take some time to talk about ways to not be a bystander. Sometimes there's power in numbers.
If it's one other person that you're like, hey, we're both seeing this happening to an acquaintance or a friend, and let's both kind of come together. And you know we might get some backlash, but we are going to rely on each other for this.
Britt Kuhlman is a child psychologist with SSM Health. She also encourages kids simply not to share something they think could hurt someone else online. Even if they're not being bullied, social media does have links to negative effects on everyone's mental health. Kuhlman suggests having open conversations about how much people are putting out there about their real lives versus their true selves online, that is. Our latest effort is all about that, having the courage to be you. We have information on ways to show that and be proud of it on our Time for Kids Time to Talk page. That's right over on channel3000.com.
Tonight is the first Prep Mania game of the week of our winter schedule. The spotlight now on girls basketball. First place is on the line in the Big 8. It's Madison Memorial at Verona. Tip-off is at 7:15. You can watch the game live over on channel3000.com. In other basketball news, a Dodge County girls team is getting a shout-out on ESPNW this morning. On the front page is an article calling the Beaver Dam Golden Beavers one of the best in the country. They're off to a 6-0 start this season, and they've won state the past 2 years. Their coach says it's been quite the turnaround from his first 3 seasons at the school, where the girls only won a total of 9 games. He calls the transformation insane and says it's due to the hard work that's been seen at elementary and middle school camps that have built that program brick by brick. That's incredible.
Yeah, what an awesome thing to wake up to. Your name and your team over on ESPN. And I love the story that they started their article with about thank you cards that they deliver every year to the community. So that's really a great story. Hopefully you can pop on over and give that a look.
Yeah, anytime you see a small town making national headlines, big fan of that.
And as an athlete, I would have, a high school athlete, I would have been through the moon, just ecstatic over something like that. That is so cool.
That's a story you'll share for the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
All right, 6:23 your time now. Looks like hundreds of Wisconsinites will be able to keep their jobs after a paper company threatened to leave the state. We'll have more on the tax incentive deal it got coming up.
And if we have not made it infinitely clear here on the show, I want a dog super badly. But Christina is laying out all the things that we all need to keep in mind before adding to the family this season. That's when News 3 This Morning continues. Governor Walker signs off on a sizable incentive package to keep a paper product company here in Wisconsin, something his predecessor might not be able to do.
And response times to fires on Madison's southeast side are going to get a little bit faster as a new fire station gets close to opening.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It's 6:27 now on this Friday, December 14th. And you think it's a little too early to break out the sunscreen, maybe a beach towel with the weather we're looking at?
She is just like, yes, I do think it is.
It's one of the most Wisconsin things I've ever heard.
Most definitely. I know we may see shorts. I don't know about, oh my goodness, there's a beach right there.
Yeah, that's right. See, that's in my backyard. Highland, Wisconsin.
We should be very clear that this is not Wisconsin. This is down south in Florida right now. Hattie, I know we're all wishing we were on vacation down somewhere on the beach.
That's not the Platteville Sky Cam?
No, not this time around. It's usually that beautiful, though.
Yeah, not quite. We have fog this morning, so we really can't see much from any of our sky cams early today. So glad you found that one. At least we had a view there. Here's a look at our current conditions. This is our Edgewater Skycam looking at the Capitol. Usually we can see it, but this morning not. A lot of low clouds and fog in the area. 30 degrees here in Madison, so it's not terribly cold, but it is below freezing. 1.5 mile visibility here in Madison, but it's down to 1/4 mile in Platteville and Mineral Point. 1/2 mile visibility in the Dells, 0 visibility right now in Juneau. So be aware of that patchy fog early this morning. Temperatures will climb well above the freezing point today, though. Likely some melting taking place as temperatures climb to highs right around 39 degrees. Winds should stay light, and I do expect us to see some sunshine for the afternoon as well. Here's a look at your First Alert traffic maps this morning. So far, things have been very quiet across the area. Again, keep in mind that fog that has developed with temperatures right around 30 degrees. There may be some slippery spots in the area, but otherwise, right now, it looks like you're traveling at posted speeds heading into Madison. And that's your First Alert traffic.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much. Hundreds of Wisconsinites will still have their jobs this Christmas after Governor Walker signed a tax incentive deal to keep a paper product factory here in the state. That deal with Kimberly-Clark is worth $28 million over the next 5 years and did not require approval from the state legislature. It was finalized under powers that the governor would no longer have if legislation passed in a recent lame duck session is signed into law. Governor Walker called for those bills yesterday. He'll have 6 days to take action on them.
Governor-elect Tony Evers is responding to that Kimberly-Clark announcement. Evers said he believes a long-term industry-wide solution is needed for the challenges facing the paper industry. He also pointed out why the governor should be able to make those economic decisions and asked Walker once again to veto that lame duck legislation.
Evers put a brief pause on a statewide budget tour to meet with President Trump yesterday. He was in D.C. with other incoming governors from around the nation to meet with the president and discuss policies that involve both state and federal governments. Those include workforce development, infrastructure improvement, veteran and military family support, and the opioid crisis. Evers called the meeting with the president a, quote, privilege. Evers and Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes will resume their statewide budget tour in La Crosse on Tuesday and then Milwaukee on Wednesday.
Also happening next Wednesday, House Speaker and Wisconsin native Paul Ryan will give his farewell speech at noon Central Time at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. After spending 20 years in Congress, he decided against seeking re-election this year and will be retiring.
If you were one of the many people affected here in Dane County by this summer's flooding, you do have one last chance to get some questions answered face-to-face before an important deadline. The Recovery Center on Parmenter Street in Middleton will be open until 2 o'clock this afternoon. That is before closing for good. Now, if you can't make it there by this afternoon, you do still have until Monday to register for aid through FEMA. You can do that online at disasterassistance.gov or by calling the 800 number there on your screen. FEMA says they have received more than 1,700 applications for aid in Wisconsin so far. New this morning, after more than a year of discussions and planning, the town of Beloit's plan to incorporate into a neighboring village could come to an end next week. The Janesville Gazette is reporting this morning that an executive summary shows the town's petition fails to meet 4 of 6 requirements to incorporate. One of the issues at the core of all of this is a new Alliant Energy Energy Center plant. If the town incorporates, the new village would receive 2/3 of the plant's tax revenue, about $2.9 million each year, leaving Rock County with only 1/3 of that money. The chairwoman of the Incorporation Review Board told the Gazette that the board will likely submit a final decision by Thursday.
A new fire station meant to cut down on emergency response times for thousands of Madison neighbors is almost finished. According to the Alder for the area, Fire Station 14 will be open by the 27th. There is still construction going on around Dairy and Femrite Drives this morning. A News 3 investigation found it can take up to 15 minutes for an ambulance or a fire truck to respond to parts of the city's southeast side. Construction on that new station started back in February. If you live or own a business around there, this might mean a slightly lower premium on your insurance, so be sure to contact your agent.
6:32 right now. Kids, I get it. I've even considered asking Santa for a puppy this Christmas, but that does not mean I am ready for it.
Yeah, you and me both. And pet store owners say we're not the only ones considering it, but many of those holiday pets end up in shelters a few months later. Christina Laurie joins us with what you should consider before adopting. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning. I feel like such a Grinch this morning with all this bad news.
It's all, we need to remember it. We need to remember it.
But ladies, it's often older puppies from larger breeds that lose their homes a few months after the holidays when, surprise, they've grown too big. Your kid may be asking Santa for a dog, but if you have a full-time job or are busy shuttling your kids to and from after-school activities, you may do better bringing a litter box-trained cat into your family. Pet store owners say that even if Santa foots the bill for buying your new animal, raising a pet isn't free or even cheap. They'll need food, trips to the vet, medicine when sick, training, and, of course, toys. While cats may cost a little less than dogs, either can run anywhere from a couple $100s to several thousand, and that's every year. Smaller pets like hamsters and fish are cheaper, but even those come with their own set of concerns.
If a small child is interested in a hamster may not be happy to be held, especially right away at the beginning, and we want them to consider that when they're originally thinking about a dog or a cat that they can interact with. A hamster may not be something that they didn't consider in terms of interaction. We may then suggest something smaller as like fish or a bird that may not be held on a daily basis, and then maybe moving up to a larger pet or more hands-on pet in the future.
You also have to factor in training after bringing a new pet home. PetSmart can help with those classes, helpful for both your pet and your family. And if you want to make a positive impact in the life of an animal but aren't yet ready to add one to your family, you can always volunteer your time and energy at places like the Dane County Humane Society or by donating to a spay and neuter shelter.
It is so tough because you see these faces, and I know my family had to give away a dog after not being able to train it correctly. It was getting in trouble for things it didn't know was wrong, and it's a really hard, it's almost traumatic for the family to go through too.
Yeah.
And you hear that from so many people this time of year. Things like Legos, clothes, kids outgrow, but you never outgrow a pet.
Yeah, but it could outgrow you, so
Certainly.
we gotta be careful.
All right, I'm getting Danica a pity hamster for Christmas.
No, thank you. I'll wait for the dog. No, I'll wait for the dog, guys.
Christmas gift. All right, Christina Laurie reporting for us. Thank you, Christina.
6:35 right now, and multiple people are in custody this morning after a stabbing downtown last night. We'll have the details in the morning sprint.
And later today, the state's firing up a new website for you to book the next family camping trip. And even better, it's going to be cheaper to reserve a spot. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
Welcome back, 6:38 your time right now, and we always ask you to share your morning with us. Jennifer shared this one of a foggy morning recently over on Facebook. I don't believe this is from this week, but it is very reminiscent of some of the haze that we have been feeling here on the desk and seen outside on the weather cameras.
Yeah, if we can't have that beach scene back, I guess I'll take a nice photo of fog.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for sharing, Jennifer. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I share our favorites right here on the program every morning.
Definitely a different kind of beauty there.
It is.
Yeah.
New this morning, Rock County has plans to improve the existing 4-H fairgrounds instead of moving to a new location. The Janesville Gazette reports the county board chairman sent out a release yesterday saying he has no intention to move the fairgrounds unless, quote, something totally unexpected is presented to the county. The whole idea came from a facilities improvement study from this fall. Instead, the board plans to spend $200,000 to repair some dangerous asphalt at the existing grounds. Other improvement proposals could cost upwards of $15 million.
So we do expect to be well above freezing this weekend, so it's worth reminding everyone again that the ice may not be ready for us. The DNR does not monitor the condition or thickness of ice on each individual lake because it can vary so much, even in different spots on that lake. That means we have to take responsibility of measuring the ice before we go fishing or skating. Wardens are recommending at least 4 inches of ice for those activities and 8 to 12 inches before you park your car or truck on it. They also recommend you never venture out on the ice by yourself. And if you're already looking ahead to some winter time in warmer months, planning the next family camping trips, today is the first day you can register at the DNR's new campsite reservation system. Better yet, it'll be less expensive to book now a site. Starting at 9 o'clock this morning, you can log on to wiparks.net and set up an account. You can start making reservations on Monday. If you've already booked a spot for next year, no worries. Those reservations will still carry over, and you should receive an email confirming your reservation has been transferred over to the new system.
Boy, all this talk of warmer temperatures, camping video, it's got me excited for next summer.
I know, me too, yeah.
Well, by the looks of the temperatures we'll be seeing over the next few days, we might be able to go camping. Maybe.
If you can see anything outside.
Yeah, that's true. That's the price you'll pay for a really nice weekend, I guess. Hattie's in next with your first alert forecast.
First, though, if you have a kiddo turning 3 soon, please let us know so we can share their photo on TV and celebrate with them. News 3 this morning. We'll be right back. All right, it is Friday, a warm Friday for us in Wisconsin, and temperatures are getting close to 40s, but come on, let's daydream a little bit, right, Leah?
Come on. This is where I was just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, you're taking the live look right now at Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 76 right now in that neck of the woods. Hattie, I just, you know, as great as your forecast is, I would love to just bask in that for a little longer if I could.
Send us the 70s, Hans.
It's not that, is it? That is a beautiful beach. I've actually been on that beach. It just goes the entire length of the city. 76, well, I can't compete with that, but I can tell you that we've been above normal this week. Temperatures have been trending on the warmer side. That's good news, especially compared to what we had during November. Now, our 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, take a look at the dates. That takes us to December 21st through the 27th. So through the holiday, we're looking at really equal chances here across Wisconsin for above or below normal conditions. Looks like warmer temperatures continue, though, across the Central Plains and into the southwestern corner of the United States. A lot of talk of whether or not we'll have a white Christmas. It looks like below normal precipitation is forecast for us. So we continue with that mainly dry weather trend. Nothing showing up on the radar map this morning. We'll zoom it out a little bit. We did have a little bit of rain across parts of central and southeastern Wisconsin overnight. Back edge of that rain already working its way through the Chicago area this morning. Off to the north and west, things are very quiet. We really don't have any precipitation in the forecast for the next several days. Future track this morning across a Midwest perspective is showing you a lot of clouds across the Badger State this morning. But as we put that map into motion and high pressure moves out of the plains, that will start to work away some of those clouds that we have here in southern Wisconsin. So fog and cloud this morning will give way to sunshine for the afternoon. High pressure moving almost directly overhead through the weekend is going to guarantee a pretty quiet forecast for us with sunshine and pretty mild temperatures. There is a cold front on the horizon late Sunday that's expected to move through the area. We're likely to see a dry passage with that front. No precipitation in the forecast. It will cool us down a little bit as we head into next week. Here's a look at our current conditions. This is a view from the west side of town. This is our view at the station. Pretty cloudy here. 30 degrees is the temperature. Winds light from the northwest. Visibility here in Madison, though, running about 1.25 miles at the airport. It may be lower in some spots, so keep that in mind. There is some fog in Juneau, as well as down in southwestern Wisconsin, where visibility is less than 1 mile right now. Temperatures are just below the freezing point as well, so keep that in mind. There may be still some slippery spots on the roads. Light northwesterly winds this morning will keep temperatures from getting too out of hand today, but we'll see sunshine for the afternoon with highs in the upper 30s. 39 in Middleton and Fort Atkinson, 37 in Milton today. To the west, upper 30s in place, 37 in Prairie du Chien, 35 in Muscoda, and to the north we're looking at mid-30s, 35 in Mauston, 34 in Baraboo. Sunshine though for the afternoon, and it looks like a pretty quiet forecast coming up for the upcoming weekend. It's not in the 70s, but we are in the 40s with sunshine. That's pretty nice for Wisconsin in mid-December. That quiet weather trend continues. If you're hoping for a white Christmas, there is still a chance. A little bit of snow in the forecast on Sunday with temperatures dipping back down. So if we do get snow, it'll stick on the ground. Look at this pup, Jojo in Baraboo. Another beautiful day for a walk today, though.
Oh, and Jojo really wants one, I think.
Yeah. Okay, forget everything Christina told us. I need a dog.
It's a pretty cute face.
Jojo got any siblings? I'm all about that.
Really cute.
Thank you so much, Hattie.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 this morning. Stay with us. 6:51 time now for the morning sprint. Hattie has the best news of the morning with sunshine and temperatures up near 40 through the weekend.
And Christina Laurie is sharing pet store warnings about the responsibility that comes with bringing home a puppy for the holidays. But we start in the Fox Cities, where nearly 400 people will get to keep their jobs following a deal made to Kimberly-Clark to keep their plant open here in Wisconsin. Governor Walker reached a $28 million deal with that company over 5 years that didn't require approval from the state legislature. It was reached under powers the governor currently has, but could be taken away under a bill Republicans passed in a lame duck session last week.
Governor-elect Tony Evers is asking why Governor Walker should be able to make that major economic decision on his own. Evers is also urging Walker to veto the legislation that would limit his power in office come January. Yesterday, though, he joined a group of incoming governors in D.C., getting some FaceTime with President Trump on topics like improving roads and bridges, veteran services, and the opioid epidemic. Evers will continue his statewide budget tour in La Crosse on Tuesday.
2 men are in the hospital with stab wounds, and a third is facing charges after a fight downtown last night. It happened just before 10 along North Hancock Street, just a couple of blocks off the Capitol Square. Both men are in the hospital, one with stab wounds to his face and his stomach. They both face felony charges of recklessly endangering safety, while a third man is facing a charge for assisting in that fight.
If you were one of the many people in Dane County affected by this summer's flooding, you have one last chance to get your questions answered face-to-face by FEMA representatives. The Disaster Recovery Center on Parmenter Street in Middleton will be open until 2 o'clock this afternoon before closing for good. You still have until Monday to register for aid through FEMA. You can do that at disasterassistance.gov.
And we are starting with a little bit of fog this morning. Take a look at the current visibility map. Less than a mile visibility in Mineral Point and Platteville. Still running about 0 visibility in Juneau. Temperatures are just slightly below the freezing point. Warmer than they were yesterday, but there still may be some slippery spots on the roads early today. Temperatures, though, over the next 12 hours will climb into the upper 30s this afternoon. As skies clear out, winds will stay light from the northwest.
Thank you, Hattie. Developing this morning, China is announcing a 90-day suspension of tariff hikes on $126 billion of U.S. cars, trucks, and auto parts. That suspension, starting January 1st, is the result of a ceasefire in the trade war between the U.S. and China. American cars exported to China were being taxed a 25% penalty tariff, and auto parts were subject to a 5% charge. The president agreed to suspend U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods while the two countries negotiate.
Federal prosecutors in Manhattan are investigating whether President Trump's inaugural committee inappropriately spent some of the money it raised from donations. That's according to the Wall Street Journal this morning. The criminal investigation is looking at whether some top donors gave money in exchange for access to the Trump administration, which would violate federal corruption laws.
Authorities are investigating the death of a 7-year-old girl from Guatemala who died after Border Patrol took her into custody. She and her father had entered the country illegally. Hours later, she started having seizures and was revived after going into cardiac arrest. Less than a day later, she passed away. The Washington Post reports the girl died of septic shock and dehydration. The Department of Homeland Security says an autopsy has been scheduled.
Madison officers, staff on the UW campus, and some people living in Middleton are among those wondering who's responsible for fake bomb threats that were sent to them yesterday. Authorities across 4 different countries are searching for a suspect this morning, but they are stressing that the threats that were sent yesterday are not credible. Nevertheless, they caused mass evacuations at courthouses, schools, businesses, and dozens of other places.
Baraboo police are increasing officer presence at schools and district buildings after an anti-Semitic video and flyers targeted the schools earlier this week. Those threatened students and teachers were asked to stay away next Tuesday, which is when the high school is scheduled to have an all-day event focused on tolerance. Now, this is all in response to the photo of Baraboo students appearing to give a Nazi salute. Tuesday's program will go on as scheduled, as the threats are not believed to be credible.
There's a reminder from Madison's Streets Division to not put old clothes in your recycling bin as you clean out the closet this season. Old shirts and pants, as well as ropes and hoses, can get tangled up in the sorting equipment. Those crews encourage you to donate to area thrift stores instead of trying to recycle those fabric items.
Local pet store owners are urging families to consider cost and time before adding a pet to your family this holiday season. Each year, a number of animals, larger breeds of dogs in particular, end up in shelters a few months after Christmas when families realize they can no longer take care of them. While cats may cost a little less than dogs, either can cost anywhere from a couple $100 to several $1,000s every year. Pet store owners say you should also factor in how much time you have. If you're rarely home or are busy shuttling your kids around to a long list of after-school activities, this year may not be the ideal time for you to adopt a pet.
Good reminders, Christina. Thank you. The Packers head down to Chicago this weekend to take on the Bears at Soldier Field. Kickoff is at noon. Chicago is first in the NFC North with a 9-4 record. However, the Pack did beat the Bears at Lambeau back in September. They're coming off a win against the Falcons as well. It will be the first away game and the first division matchup for interim head coach Joe Philbin.
A diehard Packers fan is not going to be standing on the Soldier Field sidelines in his green and gold on Sunday after losing a court battle. The Chicago Tribune reports a federal court judge denied Green Bay resident Russell Beckman's temporary restraining order against the Bears yesterday. He filed the lawsuit in June of 2017, alleging he was barred from a pregame event on the sidelines because of his Packers gear back in 2016.
Fascinating. All right, 6:57, almost your time this morning. Let's get one more check on traffic with Josh Tim. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, fog's still hanging around here in southern Wisconsin, making it hard to see, and the roads may be slick. Just give yourself a few minutes extra. The Beltline looking good, though. No major delays showing up heading east or westbound. Inbound John Olin starting to tap the brakes near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections, moving into downtown. And other routes, including the interstate heading into the city, they're moving at the usual speeds with no crashes or issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And once again, kind of a foggy start. Oh, hard to wake up when it's that foggy outside. Can't see the Capitol from the Edgewater Skycam shot. Low clouds and fog will eventually lift this morning. We're looking at some sunshine with highs near 40. We can round up, right?
Oh, yeah, most definitely, especially with it continuing through the weekend. So enjoy it while we're gone. Try to see through that fog. We'll see you Monday.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.